All right, so we are back, and I am back, and man, I have recovered from the brink of extinction. So if you guys followed last week's video, you know that I came back from Florida, man, and I was in bad shape. I was severely sodium depleted, and I just was struggling mightily. Well, I did everything I could think of, man. I was taking shots of salt water. I was adding pickles. I was adding mustard. I was adding barbecue sauce to everything. And I actually took Tuesday off from the gym this past week. And this close to the end, this late in the game, that was a tough call, man. That was a really difficult decision to make. But I decided, I said, I still got 2.5 weeks left till the first show, 3.5 weeks till the second show. I gotta be smart about this, man. So I slept in, I had a bunch of salt, and man, it was a great decision. Because by Wednesday, I was feeling really good, and by the weekend, man, I was feeling really good. And then Saturday morning, I woke up, and for those of you guys that follow me on social media, Jay Schultz F3 on Twitter, on Instagram, or we're Facebook friends, you know that I fell all the way down to 170.6. So I ended up losing over 2 pounds last week. That brings my total weight loss down to 18 pounds, I think. Maybe 18 and a quarter, something like that. And so from a weekly average standpoint, I'm actually kind of close to that 1.5 pounds per week that I really wanted to get when this whole thing started. The first couple of weeks, I didn't think I would get there because I started off really slowly. But I have since found my rhythm. I have since found a really nice groove, and it's still pretty tough. I mean, even with a full system full of sodium, it's still pretty difficult. But man, I can see the finish line now, and I have a tremendous amount of motivation to just attack each day and just do the very best that I can. Even though the low days are getting really low, and I feel very depleted a lot of the time, the high days make that all okay. Like Saturday when I had all kinds of delicious food, had some coconut pancakes in the morning, I had some chicken and onions and barbecue sauce and oatmeal for lunch, then I had salmon and sweet potato later on, and then at night, what did I have at night? I think I had, I had another sweet potato. I had egg whites and another sweet potato. So it was a great week, man. My numbers, as I kind of talked about last week, my weekly numbers don't really mean as much now. I'll put them here on the screen. I think my carbs averaged about 77 or 78. And so that's probably why I was able to lose so much weight, obviously. But I'm not as concerned about the weekly numbers. I'm actually more interested right now in how my body responds to these cycles of several days of depletion and then loading up. And so that's what I'm really paying more close attention to, given my strategy for nutrition. So I'm going to do the same thing this week, and I'll kind of get into that here in just a second. But I was so excited, I forgot. If you guys are just tuning in for these weekly video logs, hey, thank you. What I typically like to do is recap last week, look ahead to next week, and then give you guys a tip. So I've already kind of recapped last week. Nutritionally, those are my numbers. Weight loss, that's what happened. From a training standpoint, I actually had a pretty good week in the gym. Like I said, Monday was near death. Tuesday I was off. But then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it actually went really well. I got some nice work in. I got some good sets under my belt. Just trying to stay within myself, man. Not trying to do too much. Not trying to just knock the cover off the ball. But just singles, doubles, just like I've done the whole way through. Find a way to work a little bit harder. Find a way to push a little bit harder. Find a way to go just a little bit further. And then, man, that stuff really adds up over time. And so even though I'm really close to the end, I'm really close. I'm teetering on the brink of, I don't want to call it overtraining, because I think it's really hard to overtrain. I actually think it's very difficult to overtrain your system. But it's not as difficult to under-recover. And so some people may say, well, Jim, that's kind of the same thing. You're just kind of playing semantics. Well, sort of. But right now, with my calories being so low, my cardio demands being so high, all the extra posing that I'm doing, I really feel like I'm under-recovered, if anything. And so I need to be mindful of that. I don't want to just totally, throw everything at it and then I just bury myself and I'm really just kind of limping into the end. And so that was last week. From a cardio standpoint, I did get 7 days of cardio in, but on that 7th day, I only walked for 40 minutes. I didn't go for the full 60 because that was Friday night, and it was the second day of 2 back-to-back super low days. And I was like, you know what, man, I'm just going to do 40 minutes. I want to spend time with my family. I want to spend time with my children. I'm already away from them so much because my training demands are so high that I said, let me just do 40 minutes. That will still be progress. And then now this week, I can do 7 60-minute walks, and I've added a couple minutes to my morning step mill, and that will give me another boost, another injection, if you will, of progress for this final week of hard training before the final week before the show, which will start kind of on Saturday. So looking forward, what am I going to do? Well, I'm really happy, man, with how everything has come along. I'm really happy with how I'm starting to look. I've been focusing, obviously, very closely on how I'm looking, how I'm developing, how my conditioning is coming along. I'm really, really happy with how my back looks. I'm really, really happy with how my width looks. I'm really, really happy with how my triceps look. My triceps were a huge weak point for me for a long time, and so I actually took the last couple of years and I specialized my triceps over my biceps. My biceps have always kind of been a stronger part for me, and so I decided, hey, let me actually dial back my bicep training and let me amp up my tricep training. And so I'm very, very happy with how that's kind of come together. And I'm really happy with how everything is starting to come together, and we're going to see what happens these next couple of weeks. But as I get a little bit leaner, and I'm going to get into this when I get into my tip here in a minute. But as I get a little bit leaner, man, every couple of pounds, I see all kinds of new, cuts and striations and definition and fat gone, and it's pretty wild, man. It's pretty wild when you get really close to the end. For those of you guys that have done this before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've always said that those last 5 pounds is what really makes a difference, and it's absolutely true. I mean, you think the first 5 pounds is exciting. Lose those last 5, man. That will just really, really get you fired up. And so I'm kind of seeing that every single day right now, so that's pretty exciting. This week, nutritionally, it's Monday today, and so Saturday was a super high day, kind of on the tail end of last week, even though it's the first day of this week. Sunday was more of a medium day. Today's a low day. Tomorrow's a low day. And then Wednesday, I'm going to load up my carbs, and I'm actually going to be very, very strategic and systematic with how I load and what I load with. I'm actually going to start choosing my carb sources a little bit more carefully because I have a pretty good idea what I want to load with, and I'll probably get into that a little bit more next week's video, which I envision is going to be a very, very long one because I kind of want to let you guys in on what I plan on doing for the final week because it is so different. But I'm going to carb up with very specific sources on Wednesday. A lot of sweet potatoes, a lot of Cheerios, and so I'm doing that for a reason that I'll get into later on. But man, I think that's pretty much it as far as the recap and the moving forward. So let me get into my tip for you guys. And my tip for you guys this week is actually really, really simple. When it comes to fat loss, when it comes to getting leaner, when it comes to losing fat, you really should just focus on one thing. And I'm going to catch a lot of flack for saying this, and I'm going to rustle some jimmies, man. And some people are not going to be happy with this. But this is how I feel, and I think it's the truth. You need to focus on one thing. You need to focus on just driving the scale lower. You need to focus on losing weight. Now, I say that with several very important caveats that are very, very important, but are not central to the message that I have for you guys today. A couple of those caveats are: you've got to have your nutrition in place. You've got to have your macronutrient breakdown in place. You've got to be training with weights. You've got to be challenging yourself with heavy weights. You've got to be stimulating that muscle protein synthesis. You've got to be doing all that you can do to maintain muscle, to grow muscle, to gain muscle. But assuming all that's in place, and those are huge assumptions, and each of those things are a video in and of themselves, so that's why I don't want to go down those rabbit holes now. But assuming those things are in place, you need to lose weight if you want to lose fat. You need to just keep it very, very simple, man. Just boil it down to, I need to lose weight. That's what I've done this cycle. That's what I've done these last couple of years. And I really think that that's a big part of the reason why I've had so much success, especially this cycle. The exercises that I choose in the gym are just not that important. The specific rep ranges that I choose in the gym are just not that important. The types of foods that I eat, I'm now learning and now fully believe, really don't mean that much at all. The macronutrient breakdown is what matters. The fiber content is what matters. Whether you drink 1.5 gallons of water or 1.25 gallons, not really that important. So I think a lot of people get caught up in all the minutia, all the tertiary things, and what they really need to focus on is getting those things in place. Coming up with something that's sensible and, is logical and reasonable, but then after that, man, just do what it takes to get into that rhythm, to get into a nice little balance, to get into a nice little flow to where you are losing weight. 0.5% to 1% body weight loss per week, that's what I would shoot for. And just know that if all those other pieces are in place, if you're losing weight, you're losing fat. And that's what I've done this go around. I just didn't focus on any of the other stuff, and as a result, I'm having more success than I've ever had. And man, I praise God for that. I praise Jesus 100% for all of that and just giving me these opportunities. And I praise him for clearing my mind on the front end of all this so that I could see clearly and really develop a very, very well-defined objective. Just thinking, I just need to lose weight. And now, I'm going to catch a lot of flack because people are like, Jim, man, I'm training hard, I'm eating right, and the scale's not moving, but I know I'm making progress, but I know I'm losing fat. And that might be true. That might be true in 1 week or in 2 weeks or in a few days time span. But over a longer expanse of time, over a longer window, if you're really going to lose fat, if you really have 20 to 30 pounds of fat to lose, or 10 pounds of fat to lose, whatever it is, if it's some significant number, you need to lose weight, man. You need to lose weight and just keep it really, really simple. The only caveat to that is if you are a beginner. If you're a beginner and you've never really trained hard before, then you, my friend, are in for the Holy Grail. You, my friend, are in for some period of time where you are likely to gain muscle and lose fat simultaneously, because your body is just going to be so just taken aback by all the new stimuli that you're throwing at it that you might be able to chase both rabbits and catch them both. But for the rest of us mere mortals, that's just not a great end goal, because it's just not super practical, and it's just not the most efficient way to lose fat, to try to gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. I've done that for years. I see people doing that all the time, and I think that's a big reason why people just spin their wheels for months and months and years on end. They don't pick one goal and go after it. If your goal is to lose fat, you gotta lose weight. So that's it, man. That's all I got for you guys. As you can see, man, I am in high spirits. It's a pretty low day, but I don't even care. I've got sodium. I'm losing weight. I'm losing fat. I'm feeling good, and I'm just going to do my best, man. I'm going to keep doing my best. I'm going to stay within myself, and, man, we'll see what happens in this next week or two, but I'm pretty excited. And so I really appreciate you guys, as I always do, for taking the time out of your day to kind of invest in my journey. I hope it was helpful for you. I hope you gathered something for it. I hope you gained something that you can now apply to your own training, your own nutrition, your own health, your own wellness, whatever. If you want to like the video, that would be amazing. If you want to share the video, that'd be doubly amazing. If you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, that'd be triply amazing. We're only 3 subscribers away from 50. That would be a huge little milestone for me, especially when, like I've been saying for a while, I've got some projects in the works, man, that I think are going to be a lot of fun, and I think you guys are going to really enjoy them. So, man, I will see you guys next time. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to spend time with my family, and I'm just going to think about food. I'm not going to actually eat any food because I can't. I can only think about it. So I'll see you guys next time.